everyone. 1st of December today, and I don't know about you, but oh my goodness me, it is such a busy few weeks ahead. I should be thinking, yay, it's Christmas coming and it's getting really festive. And of course I am a bit. My husband's out today putting the Christmas lights up, and so it's starting to get a little bit festive around here. But I just feel a little bit overwhelmed about how much I have to do, and I'm going to come at the end of this video to an article that I read in The Guardian about women, and this isn't in any way directed, by the way, before you think it is, towards men and how little they do at Christmas. Actually, it's taking fully on the chin the fact that women take on so much at Christmas. But the article was written in 2019 in The Guardian about the load that women carry at Christmas. So search it. It's to do with women's overwhelm at Christmas time. It's a really interesting read, and I'll reference it at the end. Anyway, I thought I'd do a little video about this because it's a really important facet in our weight loss journey at this time, and our maintenance journey at this time. Certainly is for me, and it's something that my clients are talking about at the moment too. So that's why I'm doing this, and it really got me thinking about overwhelm and busyness and how important this whole topic has been for me throughout my weight problem, and how I've had to deal with this whole topic. And as I was musing doing this video for you, I went right back to something that my sister said. So Julie, if you're watching this, you'll be like, haha, and not realise how you triggered all this off for me. She said to me way back when I had my first child. So Ellie is now almost 30. So this all started way before Ellie arrived, actually. But Ellie was a little mite, toddling around, wasn't even speaking. So 30 years ago, slightly less than 30 years ago, and I was rushing around with her. Rushing is the main word here, and I'd been racing all over the place with her, and just was exhausted. And my sister had been with us and staying with us, and she just, I saw her watching me, and she said to me, and I've never ever forgotten these words, they had such an imprint imprinted on my soul. She said to me, you keep yourself so busy all the time. I mean, she wasn't a mum herself at that point, but she'd obviously been observing me. You keep yourself so busy all the time. What are you afraid that you are going to see when you finally stop? What a thing that probably only a sister could say. And it really stopped me short. And at the time I was like, what do you mean, for God's sake? I'm a young mum, of course you never stop when you've got kids. But it obviously planted in there, and it because I've never ever forgotten it, and I mused on it, and I never ever stopped thinking about that comment. It really did hit hard, and I did a lot of work on that, an awful lot of work on that. I worked on my boundaries that I put in place around other people. I realised that I was saying yes to an awful lot when I should be saying no, and that was exhausting me. So it took me many years to be able to do this, by the way. It makes it sound like that one comment from my sister suddenly made me go, Eureka! It certainly didn't. But over time, I realised that I was exhausting myself and I was the bottom of the pile and everyone else was on top. And that certainly, absolutely contributed to my weight problem. And I had to start saying no to other people so that I could start saying yes to me, and it was such a hard thing for me to do. I think that I felt that I was, by being nicer and kinder, and so much of my identity was wrapped up in that as well, and I'll come on to identity in a minute, but by being nicer and kinder to other people, somehow I was being unkind by saying no, and that felt so wrong. But I realized that by being kind and nice to other people, I was being unkind to me, clearly, because I just was so exhausted that I didn't have time to look after myself. And so I started looking after myself with the only way I could, which was through food. And that's how I got to be 7.5 stone overweight. So putting in place boundaries for myself, to self-care for me, became something I had to learn how to do. And that became a real crux for me. I talked on my client group about how the 3 things that I wanted to talk about in this video were boundary setting, identity, so the next thing I'm going to come on to, and then distraction. The identity was that I felt that just drop something. I'm just gonna now get it. Oh, I lost it. The identity, I felt that so much of my identity was I was a mum, and that everything that I did was being mum, and I didn't know who I was if I wasn't mum. And so particularly when it comes to saying no at Christmas time, well, I'm the one, as I went with women, we just do everything at Christmas, don't we? So it was me who made the mince pies, and it was me that wrapped the presents and sorted all the presents out, and it was me that I mean, I don't know, you've all got your own different traditions, but I make we've got vegetarian sausage rolls, and I make the vegetarian sausage rolls, and I decorate the Christmas tree with the kids, and we've got all our little individual traditions that I did as mum with my kids. And well, if I don't do them, then what am I as mum? And by saying no to doing those things and putting in place those boundaries again for my sanity, because there was so much to do, well then who am I then if I'm not doing those, and I delegate those to someone else, or I don't do them? Then who am I then? What does that leave me with as mum, or as me, Sonia? So it was a very challenging thing to ask me to just say, well, just don't do them, because I when I talked to my husband about I've got so much to do, he would just say, well, just don't do all this. Why are you doing all this? And it sounds obvious. Well, of course, well, then don't do that. Don't do all of the Christmas cards that you're doing. And it sounds so obvious when you say it like that, but that's what I do. That is part of my role, and that's what I do. And if I don't do that, and if I don't do the vegetarian sausage rolls, and if I don't do the mince pies, and if I don't do all of that thing, then what do I do? Who am I? So it's not as easy as just saying don't do it. You're left with then, well, who are you? And I needed to figure out who was I and fill that void of who I was. And so one of the things that I needed to do as part of my exploration in my weight loss journey was figure that out for me, is, well, who am I then? And I needed to really look at, well, what do I need? What do I want to do? so I needed to really look closely at that and ask myself those questions. Well, if I'm not out there looking after everyone else and doing all of those roles that I thought I needed to do, well then what do I want to do for me, to just look after me? What is it that I want to do for my soul that makes me feel good? And that will be different for every one of you. So for me, it was about getting into my garden and looking after, I'm using that word looking after again, aren't I? Isn't that weird? But it does look after my soul. It makes me feel really good rather than other people. It makes me feel good to really nourish and look after that garden. It really just makes me feel happy. And doing my knitting does that, and reading does that, and listening to really lovely music does that, and going on a really nice walk does that, and I was trying to think what other things do. Painting does that. So I've got all these other things that I do love cooking and baking, but not all the time and not for other people. And then the other thing I was going to talk about was distraction, just looking at my time so I don't go on too long and bore you all. The other thing that being busy did and does for me, which is something that's still an important thing for me now, is being busy as a distraction. And being busy is something that distracts me from things that are worrying me. So I'm very aware that that's, and I think that's true for all of us, that when I've got something niggling away and concerning me, I know that I throw myself into work. And so what is it now? 7:25, and I've been at night, and I've been working since 8:30. So that's nearly an 11-hour day. And we've got a bit of family stress going on at the moment, so it's no wonder that I've done an 11-hour day today. I have, though, and I do factor in breaks, so that is something I do, but I should probably stop now, shouldn't I? But distraction is, and keeping very busy is something that when you're busy all the time, it stops you from focusing on things that are worrying you and stressing you out. But if you do it too much, you're just going to wear yourself out. Now, I don't work every single day, so I do have days where I have downtime, and I do factor in rest time because I have a health problem. That means that if I keep busy too much, I know I'm going to wear myself out. So it's something I'm very focused on being careful about. But that's just something to bear in mind. If you're very busy, are you doing it to distract yourself from stuff that's stressing you? And maybe do you need to think about other ways that you need to manage that stress? Just something for you to think about. And one of the things that I do is I use a meditation app. I'm not doing this to plug them. I'm not being paid to do this. There is an app called the Insight Timer, which is really good, really good. Now, the other thing that I am starting to do, which I thought I'd mention, is there is desperately trying to remember the name of her. I've got my laptop open. She is called, I've just recently done a brilliant goal setting group session with her. What is her group called? It's so good. So this is from Slaying Business Solo. Slaying Business Solo. If you have a business, this is a way of just managing the behind the scenes side of your business. Now this is from just a way of getting yourself organized. These are techniques just for your life. So this is something I learned from my business, but this works for your general life too, techniques. So Nicola, who runs Slaying Business Solo, highly recommend searching her group on Facebook and joining. Just brilliant she is. She taught us in this goal setting thing that she does monthly. It was such a brilliant technique where, you know, when you've got in December, there's just so much you carry in your head, and that's just so stressful. There is just so much to do. And she does something called a brain dump every month with our goal setting, where you just write it all down. And she's really clever because she does it in different categories for us from a business perspective. And then she also comes on to like a personal bit as well. And we just put it all down on paper, and that process just gets it out of your head and onto paper. And that in itself is just a relief, because usually you're carrying it all in your head and you have to try and remember what's in your head, and it's just really great to get it down on paper. And then the other thing is, it's really important. So I'm sitting in my office, and everything that I need to just deal with all of that I've then got down on paper is all in my office anyway. So I don't have something in the kitchen, something in my bedroom that I would do to manage all of that. It's all here in my office. So anything I need to do to manage all of this day to day, I've centralized it all basically. And then the next thing is we're going to prioritize that list ruthlessly. And one of the ways to do that is through something called, sorry, I've got a really scratchy label on my jumper and it's really irritating me. Something called the Eisenhower Matrix. And I think this is the thing that has fallen. No, it hasn't. That's not. Something called the Eisenhower Matrix. And oh, it is such a relief to be able to do this. And it is where you take your list and you are going to categorize all of this sort of stuff that you've dumped out of your brain into these 4 different categories. And the 4 different categories, if you don't have to remember this, but if you can Google Eisenhower Matrix and it'll show you it, is the 4 different categories are urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and then not urgent and not important. So the urgent and important is basically the crises that's going on. So if I don't have school-age children anymore, but if I did and one of them, I was beavering away at work today and then suddenly one of them's sick and I've just got to go and get them, that's an example. Or if, again, I'm working away at home and suddenly I can hear something leaking and I've suddenly got to stop what I'm doing and call a plumber because there's a major leak. Those are the things you've just got to deal with. They're urgent and really, really important. Got to stop and deal with it. And then the next level down is the important but not urgent. So an example of that is these are things that you just have to schedule dedicated time to do. This week that I've just done, that's my tax return that I've just done. I had to basically find time to do that. It was really important. I had to do it, but it's not life and death. I didn't have to do it there and then. And then the urgent but not important are, sorry, that was the other way around. That's the tax return. The important but not urgent is the, oh, beg your pardon. No, that's right. Urgent but not important are the delegate and minimize. So these are things like your emails that you've got to respond to, admin tasks, cooking dinner, homework. So for instance, yes, they're pretty urgent, but maybe you don't know how to do your maths, but your husband does. You could delegate your husband to do that. That's definitely would be me. Gardening, maybe a bit of weeding, that sort of thing. And then this is the biggie. Urgent, not important. These are the eliminating things. And what Nicola got us to do was go through and just go, right, what do you just not need to do? What's been on your list for ages that actually you don't have to do? They're just not urgent, not important. You've been transferring them every single month. Get rid of them. You're not going to do them. You know you're not going to do them. Get rid of them. And sometimes it's such a relief to just go, you know what, I'm not going to be doing those. Get rid of them. And it's wonderful to be able to do that. The other thing about this is to be able to just ask for help. So that is the urgent but not important. Be able to just delegate and get some help. And that doesn't have to be, you know, if you're a single mum and you don't have someone there, then there are plenty of other people in our lives that we can ask for help from. Sometimes I ask help from my brother, from my sister, even though I've got a husband. From friends, I'm always asking for help from my friends, so don't be shy to ask for help from people. And the Guardian article that I was going to refer back to, that has got a really great section in it about how you divvy up the tasks for Christmas. So definitely Google that. It's, in fact, I had it up here on my, I'm not going to be able to find it now, am I? I should have, is that it? Nope. There it is. It is The Guardian, and it's called For Many Women, Christmas is Just Hard Work. Here's How to Ring the Changes, and it's by Eve Rodsky, and it was written in 2019. It was a really good read, actually, and she's got lots of different links in it. So hope that helps. I've gone on far too long, 20 minutes, good grief, but I hope it helps you.